Well, I'm Linda Herrick, and I'm the Associate Dean for undergraduate nursing here in the College of Nursing, and we're so excited to have you here this afternoon for an information session and to talk to you a little bit about our nursing programs and all the different sites and options we have for all of you. And we'll give you that. We've got some students who are going to be sharing some of their experiences with you from each of the campuses, and then we'll talk about each of those as well as what do you do, how do you apply, how does that work. So one of the things I want to do though is give you an overview of the program. So we have what we call standard programs, and that's you apply in your sophomore year. There are 5 semesters of the nursing program. They go fall and spring, and we have that available at Rapid City and here in the Brookings campus. And then we sort of have what Dean Fernwald calls a twist on the standard, and that's offered in Sioux Falls. They start in January and they go all the way through the year, including the summer, and the following year through August. They go 5 semesters straight, including summers, and they're finished in about 20 months. And then we have the accelerated program, and that's really for people who already have a college degree but are making a career change and have decided that they want to go into nursing. And so we have an accelerated program in Sioux Falls that's been there 10 years plus, and we just started, come on in, we just started one in Aberdeen, and we're just in our second year with the Aberdeen program, and that's located on the northern campus. I know that some of you probably know somebody who might have been in the standard program and sort of got tapped on the shoulder to go to the accelerated. And I'll just say we do make a few exceptions. We don't take applications from people without degrees straight into the accelerated program, but there are times that to fill the classes and such, and if you meet certain criteria, we will administratively say, would you be interested? It's not a mandate, it's just a question, and sometimes we'll fill those there. Is there anybody here with a prior degree that's interested in the accelerated program? Hillary, have you got anybody interested in accelerated there?
I think we've got one.
Okay.
Maybe.
All right. And maybe. We'll see. Okay. And then Patrick, what about you? Anybody out in Rapid City? Not at this time. Okay, good. So, and the reason I'm asking is we'll gear this more than toward the standard program, and I know Hillary's there if you've got questions about the accelerated, but we'll kind of look at that. Now, what's really cool is we have a lot of nursing spots for students across the campuses. So if you look at our standard, we can put up to 48 students out in Rapid City, and they admit every semester. We admit to the standard program once a year in Sioux Falls. We take 40 there, and we take 64 here every semester. So think about the number of students, and then there's also the accelerated program. So lots of options. One of the things that I'll just mention, because it sort of falls under my administrative responsibilities, is that we know that sometimes you'll pick a site because you can get a spot. And I used to work for the University of Minnesota, and I had the Rochester campus. So I would have Twin Cities students pick Rochester, get in, and then think they're going to go back to the cities right away. And so we didn't allow any transfers except for extreme cases. And that's really what we're coming to here, is that I know that word is sometimes out that you just have to put in and you can transfer between sites, but the reality is we have clinical slots that we can't overfill, and depending on the number of students, depending on what else is going on, we really can't move students around a whole lot. So, as you hear about the different locations and all the great opportunities, each one is different, and each one has strengths, and each one has some things that people like and don't like. So you pick the one that best fits you. So what's really fun now is we've got some students who want to tell you their story about their experiences on each of the campuses. And since I've got Samantha Burch sitting right here, I'm going to ask her to come to the podium and start here, and then I think we can go to Sioux Falls and then to Rapid City. Go ahead, Samantha. You're going to have to kind of stay about there.
Alright. Never really done this before, so it's a little different. My name's Sam, like Dr. Herrick said. I'm a fourth semester student here in Brookings. Our usual thing is that we have 2 clinicals and 2 class days every semester, which sounds like a lot, but you do have time to do other activities, which I think there's a lot of groups to be involved in here in Brookings, which I like. I am in an honor society. I'm a public service director as for the honor society. Sorry, and I also do the newsletter for NSA. So you do have time to do other things if you want to. And also, what I like about Brookings is you can go to the game. You know, you do have that involvement of being in the athletic. Go to football games, to basketball games. So, yeah, like I said, you do get the full university experience here in Brookings because it's the main campus. Obviously, everything's here. There's a lot more events that are around here. And that's what I really like.
Good.
Is that okay?
Yeah, it's fine. Any
Sorry,
questions?
guys.
Any questions? Sam's also one of our ambassadors. She failed to mention
Oh.
that, and I didn't introduce her that way, so my apologies. Any questions for Samantha right now? All right. And I think you've got, go ahead and sit down. We've got somebody in Sioux Falls, Hillary?
Yes, Amanda.
I'm right here.
Okay. Go ahead, Amanda. Tell us about the Sioux Falls experience.
Well, I'm in my 3rd semester, and I really enjoy Sioux Falls because the semesters go right through. So you're done in a year and a half. The faculties really help you out a lot. I think it's a little smaller atmosphere versus Brookings, but I'm sure they're both, great schools because I love it here. So, what would I recommend? Being involved. I'm part of the NSA, and I'm a chairperson for community outreach, and we do a lot of fun activities for that. And we work, well, my class, we're like one big group, so it's really nice. I don't really know what else to say other than I really like it and be very organized.
Any questions? So tell us a little bit about where your campus is located, because we know where the Brookings campus is on the SDSU campus. Tell us about where your classes are located.
They're in the southeast building in the Sullivan Center, in the basement mostly, but I think we move our 4th semester, I'm not for sure, but upstairs, so. Yep.
Any questions? Okay, and Patrick, you've got a student too, and maybe you could zoom in a little bit because we're having you're way at the end of the tunnel there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see here.
It's on purpose.
So I actually have, I was joined today by 3 student ambassadors that, can you help me, Dr. And, we're going the wrong way.
Sorry, he pushed the wrong button. I got him,
That's
man. There you go.
That's good. Thanks, Dr. Hobbs.
So if we have enough time,
There we go.
We're good.
Are we good?
if we have enough time to let them maybe have that conversation, that would be great. I mean, I'll turn it over to them. Latoya, do you want to start?
Sure. My name is Latoya. I am a 5th semester nursing student here in the Rapid City campus. I applied strictly for Rapid City. I'm kind of a non-traditional student, a little bit older, so my family's here. I own a house here, so it was a little bit easier for me to do Rapid City than the Brookings campus. I love this campus because it's a smaller campus. Our clinicals are in Rapid City, so you don't have to travel very far. I think I have to travel maybe 5 minutes to get to the hospital to do my clinicals, which is very nice, very convenient. The class sizes are really nice. You get to know your faculty members really well. Even though we're not on main campus, it's still really nice that we have other activities. We're all a part of the ambassador program here, which is really exciting. We're able to do activities with the smaller campus here. I don't know. I like the small campus feel, me personally. I really like it. Rapid City, Black Hills, really close by. Lots of activities that you can do, hiking, biking, lots of other things that you can do on your free time as a nursing student.
So I'm Jessica. I was actually at the University of Washington applying to their nursing program, and I applied here as well, and I can't imagine going anywhere else. SDSU has been a wonderful university to go to. I've had so much experience. I think in Seattle, I wouldn't have gotten the experience in clinicals and just working with the faculty. I enjoy the smaller class sizes. I feel like I get a lot of individualized attention, and I'm really happy to be here.
I'm Shannon, and I am in my 4th semester. I originally applied for the Brookings main campus. I took my prereqs there, and I am actually thankful to not be there anymore. The class sizes are a lot smaller, and I'm able to have one-on-one interactions with the teachers, like even first semester teachers that you saw one time or one semester and you don't have them again. They still know who you are, and they care about how you're doing in your classes and if you need help. And another thing I really like about Rapid City for clinicals is there's a dedicated education unit where you get to go, and those nurses are specified or certified in teaching specific tasks. So you get one-on-one with a nurse and are able to learn that whole day instead of being in just your clinical group for like having 8 students with 1 teacher. So that's really nice to be individually paired with a nurse. And as for activities, I am president of the SMA, and there's a lot of things to do out here too. I know it's kind of a bummer not to be able to go to the game, but for Hobo Day we get together with alumni that are out here, people that did graduate from here and watch the game together, so it's still a big deal.
Good. Well, great job. Okay, any questions for any of our students? Hearing none, we're going to talk now a little bit about unique considerations for each of the programs, and I don't care who starts first. How about Patrick, since we've got you on the screen there, why don't you go ahead and go?
Sure, thank you. I'm really thankful to have the students here today to really reiterate every point that I could ever possibly make about Rapid City. I was born East River, but I consider myself definitely a West River guy at heart and forever, always true. I will say when it comes to Rapid City, there are some really important things to keep in mind when considering Rapid City. First and foremost, our clinical experiences are definitely, there's a variety. We have opportunities that exist on the reservations at the VA hospitals because there are 2 opportunities nearby for that. It is literally 2 miles to Rapid City Regional Hospital, and Shannon already talked about our dedicated education unit, which we're really proud of there. Then we also outreach into the schools and different community partners. I would say that our program size is also probably one of the biggest selling points for Rapid City's campus. We take in 48 students, max capacity per semester, so it's really interesting from my perspective, serving in nursing student services, to watch a cohort of 48 students, or even sometimes a little smaller, develop this tight-knit family together, and how that kind of evolves over 2.5 years is really special, and I think our students would definitely testify to that as well. I would say, as far as our completion, we're pretty proud of our NCLEX RN pass rates here in Rapid City, because sometimes we beat out Brookings even just a little bit, and it's I don't know, we're proud of that here in Rapid City. We have really great opportunities with our faculty. Dr. Joe Voss is certified in heart math, which is specifically designed, whether or not you have a learning disability or not, to make you a better test taker. That's the nuts and bolts of heart math. And we're really fortunate to have someone like Dr. Voss here, who also teaches a 1-credit elective course in the 5th and final semester to prepare senior students for the NCLEX RN, and it's solely based and dedicated to that preparation. For housing opportunities, there's a lot of opportunities here in Rapid City. I always recommend to students to check out the Rapid City Journal's website, but we also have opportunities at School of Mines. We also have there's a renovation project that has occurred in the last year with an old dormitory that belonged to a private school in town, and they sold that, and now that has been renovated and is open to specifically college students. So we're looking at a great partnership with them for affordable housing. Our campus is in a residential area. It's actually in the historic district of Rapid City. It's a really gorgeous neighborhood. It's perfect for a run every day after work, except for on rainy days like this. But so there's a lot of actually housing opportunities right around us. Students choose though sometimes to pick housing where they have to commute and drive in, and that's perfectly fine. Now, as far as financial aid and scholarships go, I mean, your financial aid package doesn't change much unless if you have the Jackrabbit Guarantee. The Jackrabbit Guarantee stays only in Brookings, which is unfortunate, but I would like to tell you that we dished out $68,000 of scholarship money in the last 3 years in a row, and we're really proud of the opportunity of growth there with our scholarship bank, if you will, and we're definitely growing and seeing wonderful applications there too. There are organizations to be involved with. The Ambassadors is always an opportunity. Nursing Student Association, the Christian Fellowship Nursing Association has come and gone depending on the student's request for that. But really, I will hone in on that. The cohorts really are very tight-knit. I commonly hear of them doing things as a group together, whether that's barbecues, whether that's going and playing volleyball down at our sand volleyball courts, which are like less than a mile away from where we're at. And you just can't get any better than the Black Hills, because the skiing, the hiking, the rock climbing, the biking, our winters are so much nicer than they are Easter. And we definitely like that part when it's 30 degrees here and negative 30 there. It's so much different.
Do you want to mention our student population, the diversity of it?
Yeah, I mean, the diversity of our population is really tremendous. I mean, at the end of the day, nursing does certainly have a large majority of students that tend to be white female. However, we're really fortunate here in Rapid City to be represented by 27 different states, 6 different countries, and our male population is actually pretty large. I think we're around 16% there. So, I mean, we have definitely a little bit more diversity, I think, for a nursing program, which we're proud of. So, I don't know, it's a fun atmosphere, and the faculty really do invest so much time into the students here, and we're definitely proud to have them. This is Dr. Hobbs, everyone, our assistant dean for the site. You don't want to wave. I don't know. Any questions? I don't know. I feel like questions are better. Dr. Herrick, did you have any questions for me? Is she there?
No.
Yep, I'm here. I'm just in the back.
Okay.
Sorry. So
Fair enough.
I don't care who goes next. Maybe
Hillary, you can go ahead.
Okay, all right. Well, similar to what Patrick said, there will be, I guess, a lot in common with Rapid City because we are a smaller site. We have a cohort of 40. We accept to our program once a year, which is different than Brookings and Rapid City, who accepts to the program twice a year. We have it set that way because we also have the accelerated population here. and accept those in August. And so then our standard group is accepted to and starts their program in January. So that is one big difference between the Sioux Falls site that's different from Brookings and from Rapid City. The clinical experiences that are available here, we work with both the two magnet hospitals here in town, Sanford and Vera McKinnon, and we also work with the VA. We've also worked with the Children's Care School and Hospital in the past, and I know students have worked with Hutterite colonies on the reservation, at the Yankton Mental Hospital. So even though the majority of the clinical opportunities are right here in Sioux Falls, there are opportunities for some groups to be going outside of Sioux Falls, and I think those are wonderful opportunities to see some of the rural populations that are served within our state, and I think our students really appreciate those opportunities. Program size, I already mentioned that we accept 40 into the program, and similar to what Patrick said, typically our cohort, once they start the program together, they develop relationships with each other, and they develop study groups here on campus. Sometimes they'll go over to the Sanford Medical School Library and study together. There's also opportunities to study right up at the University Center campus, which we are part of, but the main buildings for University Center are just 2 miles north of where our nursing offices and classrooms are located, which is on the Southeast Technical Institute campus, which is nice. We are right off of the interstate, so easy access to our location. What else? Program completion, 5 semesters like every other site. However, we are the only site that goes through the summer, which I know many of our students appreciate being able to get done sooner with their program, and they can, not forget material from fall to spring, or from spring to fall semester. They can just go right through the summers, and so students will start in January and they'll graduate a year and a half later, and in August. And so students participate in a pinning ceremony up at the Brookings campus, which is nice. They get to see the Brookings campus and have that kind of finale experience if they've never been to the Brookings campus. They don't typically walk for commencement, but have that pinning ceremony in August, which is very nice for them. Housing, Sioux Falls and the Sioux Falls greater area, there's lots of housing options. Typically I provide an apartment guide to any student who has questions about finding housing, and students will often ask me if how to find a roommate, and I'm usually able to get those people connected via email or phone number, and we oftentimes get those people connected to each other and find a roommate for that. And there's tons of apartments within a mile of our campus, and there's more going up every day. So lots of housing opportunities right around the campus. Financial aid, again, like Patrick said, your financial aid package is pretty much going to stay the same since it's aid given directly from SDSU, so you don't have to change anything on your financial aid package. However, the Jackrabbit Guarantee is only available in Brookings, so that would be something to consider if you're looking at the Sioux Falls campus. Student organizations, we have the NSA group here, and Amanda already talked about being a participant in that group. We started that a couple years ago, and that's been a pretty strong group, and we've had approximately 30 to 40 students participate in that, do community outreach. Just this last year they raised funds and gave funds to Girls on the Run. So great opportunity to hold a leadership position for that and get involved in the profession. So I think it's a great site. Sioux Falls, it's a little bit larger. I know some people are concerned about that if they're not as familiar with Sioux Falls, but Sioux Falls may be larger in numbers, but it really has a small town feel. It's got easy access to anything. People here are nice, and I think it's got a small town South Dakota feel, and you have access to different things like the falls, downtown Sioux Falls, things like that. So, any questions? Okay, thanks.
Thank you. Okay, so I'm going to echo a lot of the things that Patrick and Hillary said as far as student engagement opportunities here on campus, but Brookings accepts up to 64 students each fall and each spring, so we're a little bit bigger. And just as in Rapid City, we are the traditional 5-semester program where you have your summers off. So a lot of times students will use those summers maybe to do a study abroad program, or they might do an internship. And I remember being a college student, I needed to work during the summer, so our students have that opportunity as well, or even take summer school. So clinical experiences, we also have a wide variety of experiences. Just as Hillary was saying, some of their students go out into the community. They might go to the Hutterite colony or one of the reservations to do some clinical experience there. We do have clinicals here in the Brookings hospital, and we also have smaller hospital settings probably within an hour or so from Brookings. That might be Watertown. We do have some in Sioux Falls. It might be a smaller community hospital in Minnesota or Huron. We do some mental health programs, clinicals in Yankton. So again, just as some of our other programs. Those of you who have been up to 3rd floor of Wagner Hall, you've probably seen some construction or some preparation for construction. Get used to it because the next few months are going to be a little crazy up there. We are expanding from 2 simulation labs to 6. So we will have some brand new simulation labs over in the other corner of Wagner Hall. So that's one nice perk with here, but the simulation labs in Rapid City and Sioux Falls are also very, very nice. So housing, those of you that live here already on campus, or maybe you're off campus, you're quite familiar with the housing situation in Brookings. You can opt to live on campus. We have upperclassmen housing here on campus. Not necessarily a lot, but we do have some apartments, sharing houses, that sort of thing. So those of you that might be thinking about coming from Rapid City or Sioux Falls, you can choose to live on campus or off campus. Financial aid and scholarships. This is probably the biggest thing, and I know both Patrick and Hillary mentioned this. The Jackrabbit Guarantee, if you are a Jackrabbit Guarantee scholarship student, that doesn't follow you if you leave the Brookings campus. So that is tied to here. We are working with our development officers in the foundation to help enhance some of those scholarships. So for students who leave the Brookings campus, we are working on getting other scholarship money available for them, so they don't necessarily lose that. But one thing that I will stress to all of you, Rapid City, Sioux Falls, as well as Brookings, fill out the scholarship application. That will come available probably in January. It's usually due about mid-February. And it's really important, whether you're a Jackrabbit Guarantee student or not, complete the scholarship application. Don't just say, oh, I've already got the Jackrabbit, so I'm guaranteed, I don't have to fill this out. Fill it out. Patrick mentioned they give away $68,000 every year. We give out at the Brookings campus about $100,000 or so that we give out in college scholarships. We can't award that unless you apply for the scholarships. We have money available for students in Sioux Falls. So it's not necessarily tied specifically to Brookings, except for the Jackrabbit Guarantee. So that's one thing I'm going to harp on you is fill out the scholarship application and complete it.
That's in January.
Yeah. Yes, that's in January, and we will send out a notification either via email, D2L. Your advisors will know when the scholarship is available and when it is due. And then student organizations, we also have student ambassadors. We have the Student Nurse Association. Nurses Christian Fellowship, Sigma Theta Tau, which is our honor society, Student Senate, we have, or Student Association, we have senators on that. All of the 200 plus organizations that we have on campus. We always have a student athlete, at least one student athlete in our nursing program. So if you're a student athlete, yes, you can be a nursing student as well as, or in the band. Yes, thank you. So those are pretty much, Hillary and Patrick, as I said, I'll echo what they have said, but those are kind of what stands out for Brookings. Any questions?
All right, you guys are a quiet group. So my name is Megan Peterson, and I coordinate student services here on the main campus. Most of you probably have met me or know who I am here in Brookings, and hello to everybody at Sioux Falls and Rapid City. I'm just going to talk briefly about the application process. I know that this is probably where we'll get a lot of questions, or if you have some questions, hopefully, go ahead and ask those. But just a few of the basics. The due date is September 25th. So make sure that you submit the application by September 25th. If you're applying in the spring, it's January 25th. And you can submit that application directly to the site that you're applying to for your first choice. So if you're applying to Brookings, you can bring it upstairs to 363. If you're applying to Rapid City, you can just mail it directly there, and the address is in the application, and same thing with Sioux Falls. You can just submit it directly there. Or if you're here in Brookings, you can go ahead and bring it up to 363 and we'll mail it to whatever site you're applying to as your first choice. Make sure that you only submit one application though. So if you are interested in Sioux Falls but Brookings is your first choice, don't submit a separate application to Sioux Falls, please. That's going to confuse things a lot. So on the application, you'll need to select what your first choice is, and then you can check the boxes for your alternates. So if Sioux Falls is your second choice or an alternate, or if Rapid City is an alternate, just check the box for those, and then we'll know that you're interested. If you check the box, that does not impact your admission to your first choice site. So if Brookings is your first choice, but because I hear a lot from students, well, I'm afraid to put Rapid City because you're just going to send me to Rapid City if I mark that. And that's not the case. That's not how it works. So if Brookings is your first choice, you'll be considered for one of the top 64 or one of the 64 spots here in Brookings. If you don't make the top 64 and you listed Rapid City or Sioux Falls as your alternates, if we have space available there, then you would be offered a spot. And you can accept that if you want. But it's not going to impact your admission to Brookings if you list Sioux Falls or Rapid as your second choice or your alternate, okay? Any questions about that part of it as far as picking your first choice and your alternates and things? Okay, so the application form itself is just a fillable PDF. Please type the information. If you haven't filled it out already, it's okay if you did and you just hand wrote it. We'll still accept it, but it's very helpful if you can go ahead and just type the information, print it, sign it, and then turn it in. All prerequisites, as you know, need to be completed or in progress in order to be eligible to apply to the program. So you need to have everything completed with a C or higher. Or else finishing up this fall semester. So if you're taking your prerequisites in the spring, you'll apply in January instead of in September. Minimum GPA that you need is a 2.7. So there's two different GPAs that you'll report on the application. One is the pre-nursing, the other is the cumulative. Cumulative will include all your post-secondary coursework, and pre-nursing is only based on specific classes. It's going to be all your sciences, so anatomy, phys, micro, plus psych, social, lifespan, and nutrition. You'll calculate that one by hand, and it'll have instructions on the application on how to do that. Your cumulative GPA will be at the bottom of your unofficial transcript in WebAdvisor, and please print that off and attach it to your application when you turn it in. We use that to verify all the information that you are typing into the application. Both have to be at least a 2.7, but only the higher of the two is factored into your application score. Okay, so whichever one is better is what we'll use when we score the nursing application. Okay, honors classes are calculated a little bit differently. That's why we ask for that information on the application. So if you've taken honors courses, you'll want to report all the honors classes you've taken. Those are calculated on a 5-point grade scale instead of a 4-point grade scale. Okay, so that's factored in there. Like I said, you need a C or higher in everything. If you do have a D or an F in any of those pre-nursing classes that I mentioned before, which again would be your sciences, so your 2 chemistries, anatomy, phys, micro, psych, soc, lifespan, and nutrition. If you end up with a D or an F in those, that is going to impact a little bit your score on the application, so just be aware of that. And that's even if you retake the class and pass it on the second attempt. So you need to have the C or higher. If you fail 2 pre-nursing science classes, you won't be eligible to apply for 5 years. And if you fail the same pre-nursing class twice, you won't be eligible for 5 years. Okay, so just so you know what the eligibility criteria are for the application, just wanted to go over that quickly. Questions at all about the eligibility requirements, what you need, how to fill out the application? You guys all taking a look at it? It's pretty straightforward, so make sure to, whatever you put for your address, for your current address, that's what we're going to use to send your letters. Letters will go out about mid-October, so that's when you'll find out if you've been admitted, and that's well in advance of when registration for spring would be. So you'll know before you need to register for spring classes if you've been admitted or not. But we'll send that letter to your current address on the application. So if you don't want it sent home and don't want to wait to go get that, make sure you put your current address where you're living now, where you want that letter to go. Okay. What questions do you have about the application process or the different sites? Questions for Rapid City or Sioux Falls or our students? I know there's got to be some, because I know there's lots of rumors out there.
Do you send a letter like regardless?
Yes.
If you make it or you don't?
Yep, good question. So you'll get a letter regardless, either that yes, you've been accepted and congratulations, here's more information about your orientation meeting that you'll have coming up, or if you're placed on the wait list, you'll get told that information, or if you're not eligible. So regardless, everybody who submits an application will receive a letter letting them know. Yeah. And if you're admitted to the program, the College of Nursing will actually register you for your nursing classes, so you don't have to worry about registering for those classes on WebAdvisor, and we'll have information meeting to go over all the clinical requirements, all the fun documentation that you need to submit, and all of that. So you'll get information in your acceptance letter when that meeting will be, and you do want to make sure that you attend that.
I was just going to reiterate to students at all sites that it's really important to follow the directions that are clearly listed in the application. So making sure that you attach your transcripts, making sure that you attach maybe any legal documentation that you need to provide if you had a hiccup in the past, because all that self-disclosure is very vital to the application process as a whole. I find all sorts of reasons why students don't provide that sort of thing, and it's, at the end of the day, it just holds up the process. So follow the directions.
So with the
and always
legal
ask your
questions,
advisor.
yeah, with the legal questions too, there is on the last page, if you checked yes for any of the legal questions, you need to just provide a brief explanation about the circumstances, and then provide all the documentation that you need to, and that will all get separated from your the academic score. So the committee that scores the applications, they don't see all of the legal issues. That just goes to specific individuals at each site to review that information. So you don't need to worry about the people on the admissions committee are all going to know your legal history. That's separated. So
Maybe we could just tell you why we do the legal history. And that's because as nurses, we have an obligation. We work with vulnerable populations, and we're very trusted. And to be honest, if I decide to go out drinking tonight and I get a DUI, I have to report it to the South Dakota Board of Nursing, and I have to report it to the Minnesota Board of Nursing because I'm licensed in both states. And I better do that before they get the report that I've had a DUI. So as a professional nurse, you have to do that. There are also certain things, if somebody has been convicted of fraud or abuse, you can't get a license as a nurse. So we're not going to admit people who we know cannot be licensed anywhere in the United States. So it's not just we want to know your legal history, it really is the obligation, and the boards of nursing ask for that and check that too before they license you. So that's why we do that. Does that make sense? We're not just trying to find out if you have some underage drinking or stuff. That may be of concern, but a different concern than for licensing, unless you have a lot of them. A lot of DUIs will keep you from being licensed in most states.
You got a question, Nikki?
So let's say that I apply to the Rapid City Nursing Program, get a letter that said in October that I got accepted. Will I have enough time to find housing before that semester starts?
Did you hear the question, Patrick?
I did, yeah. And all I can simply say is that it really does come down to motivation of the student. I've had students who have accepted a spot from Brookings to Rapid City and made that move within 5 days with a home. What I do, yeah, I mean, the turnaround has been that, and even quicker from what I've gathered in the past. But what I do is my very best of just distributing as much information about, here are some housing opportunities in the neighborhood that I've been made aware of. Here are housing opportunities made available to the public. Here is our agreement with the School of Mines. Here is our agreement that we're working on currently with this private firm. And so there are plenty of opportunities for housing. Do you want to add something?
I'm going to add something. Just say, I'm going to say, if you're really interested in coming out and you want to consider the new housing option that we're working with, collaborating, I know that they were willing to hold rooms for the spring, knowing that there might be students coming out. And of course, my big sell is, nursing students are the best bet for housing. They've already had background checks before they get here. So when you put them in the dorm, you're not as worried about are they going to show up and pay the bills. So if you are interested in a West River place, I would encourage you to give your name to Patrick that you are applying, so we can put a name on a list over there, because they are aware that we are having students about this time who are applying, and they're looking to see what kind of housing they can hold for us.
I personally moved to Rapid from Brookings between fall and spring semester, and with the help of Patrick, it was easier than I ever imagined to find somewhere to live. So I don't think that that's something that should sway your mind, because it's not difficult. There's a lot of, when fifth semester graduate in December, they move away, and there's students that need help. So then you'll build connections with friends in other semesters and give you more advice. So that's really nice too. So
It's probably our number one concern here in Rapid City is housing, finding it, and I don't know. We seem to address it. It works.
Other questions?
What was your reasoning for not doing the interviews anymore?
It's a good question. We know that interviews are going to advantage some students and disadvantage others. There are certain skills that some people may have that advantage them in an interview, and others it may actually disadvantage, and some of those are skills that we intend to teach you to be able to communicate in multidisciplinary teams and to answer lots of questions. And some of you may come with those skills and others may not, but we know that many of you can develop that. So it really probably advantaged a few people and disadvantaged a number of people. And so because of that, we thought it was, we've chosen not to do that. We also know, based on the research, that the biggest predictor of success, and I have this thing that I'm not going to take your money. If you're not going to be successful, if I've got a pretty good idea that you're not going to make it through our program, I shouldn't give you the false hope of getting in and then not being able to pass. And so the strongest predictor of success in a nursing program are your science grades. No matter how you want to cut that, it's not, we've got data from here that have been collected over the years. There is literature that we know across the country, the biggest predictor for success, not only through the program, but on the NCLEX exam, you know, that big test you have to take to actually be a nurse at the end. Biggest predictor is still the science grade. So, we know, and we had looked at information, we know that the interviews didn't predict success. And so we want to make sure that the students that come into the program are able to be successful and to make their dream of being that nurse. So, does that help? Maybe not, but yeah, no, it's a good question. And I know it was a big change, and some programs do, some programs use essays. We know that a lot of different programs use a lot of different criteria. I don't know that we've actually done, I've looked at the literature recently again, and you know, there isn't a perfect formula. So no matter what we do, it's going to probably be a little different for some students than others, and we're going to continue to work to make sure we have the best application process so that we get people in the program that can be really successful and be great nurses when you're done. Not only get through the program, but you got to pass that big test at the end. Otherwise, you don't get to practice, which you don't want to go to school and then not actually be able to be an RN. So, other questions? Any questions from the Sioux Falls campus? And I think we've got current students in Rapid, so I won't ask them if they have questions right now. Other questions? This is kind of a quiet group. I don't think I've ever done an information session where, yeah, go
If
ahead.
you apply to Brookings as your first choice and you get accepted here, do you still send the application to the other places that you've marked or no? No?
Okay, say that again.
So like you applied to Brookings for your first choice and you like that you guys accepted the person. Do you still send it to their other choices as well or just here?
No, if you put Brookings as your first choice and you make the top 64, you'll be offered a spot
Okay.
at Brookings. So, yeah.
There was another question here.
Yeah. I guess I should have asked it before, but I didn't think
No,
of
that's
it.
okay.
Are the the credit prices the same all throughout?
The credit prices are the same, but there are some fee differences. And Dr. Hobbs, can you or Patrick speak to some of the fee differences?
You mean with the curriculum itself?
No. The tuition and fees are exactly the same,
Yeah.
except they're just broken down differently. We don't have a general activity fee in Rapid City, but we have what's called a West River delivery fee. When it comes to tuition and fee difference, at least the way that we see it, the price difference might be approximately $100 to $200 a semester difference between sites, but there are different fees that also don't get assessed. Like, we don't have a parking pass fee here in Rapid City that you would have to pay in Rapids or in Brookings. So, but the curriculum is exactly the same. The number of credit hours that you're taking are exactly the same. It's just looks different on your bill.
The two big differences is a program delivery fee, which is looks like it's a lot more, but you're not paying the activity fee. And so
And
if
there's
you
some
take,
other fee
and
too.
then there's a $50 charge, which is for student health at School of Mines. And that gives you access to use the student health system at School of Mines, which is 2 miles away. And then you have the same malpractice fees. So the difference, like Patrick said, in a semester, it's about $175 to $200, depending on the number of credits difference. So it's a very minimal difference than we have, because you really are not paying some of the other costs you have on campus.
I know you can't see our audience here. We've lost about 2/3 of our group, 3/4 of our group. They have physiology class or lab.
Oh.
Yeah.
SI. So they're off to class. That's what the noise is that you're hearing. So
Fair enough.
they told us they were heading out before we started. So, any other questions? if you think of any and we didn't answer them and you think of them later, you can contact any of us with questions. I don't know that our Director of Student Services, Todd Strickert's introduced himself here, and I didn't introduce him as he was coming up either, but Todd was here at the podium here in Brookings earlier. But you can talk to Megan and Laura or Patrick or Hillary, and they've got all the details, and or any of the rest of us, and we'll make sure we get your questions answered. And if you want to talk to somebody out in Rapid City or in Sioux Falls, we'll connect you. We can video conference. We can do whatever to make sure you get your questions answered there too.
I was just going to say, Dr. Herrick, in the past I've connected students who have made that transition from Brookings to Rapid City with other students that are considering that. And really it's just a matter of if you're comfortable having a student ambassador call you or a current student call you. I find sometimes that candid conversation over the phone really does help students with that transition. So if you want that to happen, you just simply contact me and give me your information, and I will connect you with a current student who's made that transition happen already. So you can ask all sorts of questions then.
Great. Any other questions? Our connection will probably cease in probably what, about 5 minutes here or so? You have it till, oh, okay, so we have it for a while yet. Are there any, one last call here, any other questions? Otherwise we'll be here. All right, well, thank you for coming. We really appreciate it.
Thanks,
Look forward
Dr.
to seeing you in the program. Thank you.
Thank you.